All right, let's be real for a second. When you hear the word governance, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's not exactly an exciting word, is it? It might even make you kind of groan inside. But what if there's a totally different way to think about it? A way that turns it from a roadblock into a roadmap? Oh, we've all been there, right? Trapped in some maze of paperwork, waiting for an approval that seems like it's never going to come, dealing with these super rigid rules that make absolutely zero sense for your situation. It's that slow, frustrating, impersonal feeling we all know, bureaucracy. And this is exactly the problem. We see all these things we can't stand. Rigid, slow, impersonal. Yep, that's the bureaucracy we know and, well, don't love. And for so many people, the word governance gets dragged right down into that same mud. But just look at that question mark over there. What if governance isn't the problem at all? What if it's actually the solution? Okay, this is where we get to completely flip the script. We're going to move away from this idea of governance as just a stack of static rules and introduce something way more powerful, way more useful. The idea of governance as a daily practice. Now this right here, this is the whole game changer from our source material. Governance isn't bureaucracy, it's daily discipline. Just let that sink in for a minute. It's not some static thing you set and forget, it's an active daily practice. So let's lock in this new definition. Governance is a system of daily discipline to guide an organization. This isn't some dusty old manual sitting on a shelf that you look at once a year. It's something you do every single day. It's the consistent, small efforts that keep the whole organization on the right track. Okay, so if governance is a discipline, then what are the actual exercises? What does this practice really look like day to day? Well, that brings us to the 5 core actions of good governance. And this shows you the what perfectly. See, none of this is passive, it's all active. First, you set rules. You create clear guardrails. Second, you enforce standards. That's what gives those rules some teeth. Third, you monitor compliance. You're not just hoping, you're actually checking in. Fourth, you guide decisions, using those rules like a compass. And finally, and this one is so important, you ensure fairness in the entire process. Every single one is an action. But here's the thing, these actions don't just happen in a vacuum. They need a why. They need a soul, right? They're driven by 3 fundamental principles that give the whole practice its meaning and its power. The first principle is that it absolutely has to be consistent. Think about it. When the rules and standards are reliable and predictable, people can work with confidence. This builds so much trust and makes everything more efficient because nobody's dealing with shifting goalposts or confusing surprises. Next up, the practice must be ethical. This is the non-negotiable moral center. Are the decisions we're guiding actually principled and sound? Having an ethical foundation is what keeps morale high, and it's what stops the whole system from becoming toxic. It's really the conscience behind every single action. And the third principle is all about alignment. This is about purpose. It makes sure that all those actions, setting the rules, ensuring fairness, are all pointing everyone in the same direction, toward the same shared values. It's what drives amazing outcomes by turning a bunch of individuals into a truly unified team. So, how does all this come together into one big idea? We've talked about the actions, the what, and we've talked about the principles, the how and the why. Now, let's put it all together. So, here's the most important takeaway. Good governance is not some piece of software you install and then forget about. It's a discipline you practice. Seriously, think about learning an instrument or getting in shape. You don't just wake up a virtuoso overnight. The magic is in the small, consistent, and principled efforts you put in every single day. And that brings us to our final thought. Instead of getting overwhelmed thinking about some massive, complex overhaul, let's make it personal. For your team, for your project, or heck, even just for yourself, what is one small discipline, based on everything we just talked about, that you can start practicing today?